Okay, fine. I welcome to all of you to this session. That is, we are going to conduct in the upcoming semester. That is a C Sharp, or you can say a C, .NET or Visual Studio. So, as per our tradition, we are going with the mission, our mission vision, that is triple P format. So, what is our mission and vision is? That is in order to get nationally recognized among your best institute in India for excellence in technical education. And for the department, the same vision is to be nationally recognized for excellence in education, but in the field of your computer science and engineering. So this was the vision we can say, and the mission for institute and department here we have, you can see on the screen. Simultaneously, we have some PEOs, that is nothing but the program educational outcomes, or you can say the objectives, which are going to be applied throughout your education in these 4 years. So there are the 4 PEOs, that is apply, demonstrate, engage, and your demonstrate your communication skill, which will make you effectively part as an individual or as well as in team. So these basics PEOs are going to be effect throughout these 4 years, and in that result, after this, you will be having the knowledge of what you are going to be achieved. That is going to be uh, get into your skills. That is nothing but after the placement, or you are going to for a higher education, that will be get reflected over there. These are 12 POs. That is nothing but this program outcomes of an engineering, or you can say this is common for all the branches. That is engineering knowledge, problem analysis. In order to solve this design and development solution, we require this design and development solution engineering knowledge for conducting our this chapter, or you can say this subject. Now the contents we are seeing here, the conduct investigation of complex problems. Next is your modern tool usage, and similarly the engineering and society, which will be very much useful, because this knowledge where you are going to utilize, that is in the society, for the sake of society. So these are some POs. These are 6, and remaining are here. That is environment and sustainability ethics. You have to learn ethics principles wherever you are going for work on in an organization or in company. There you need to follow their professional ethics principles. Okay. Now individual and teamwork, it is also mandatory in order to get work with a project. So you have to work with a team. So these POs will affect for your whole career life, also in your day-to-day life. That is lifelong learning and project management and finance. That is also one of the skill which will becomes a member for your team and managing your project in multidisciplinary environment. So these are some POs. Now what are the, after learning this, what will be the outcome? After learning this, what will be the outcome? That is nothing, we called it as a program specific outcome, that the engineer graduate will be able to understand and design your what we can say the computer system using knowledge, whatever the in the first year, second year, or in third year you had learned, go through that these subjects you had gone through, that what we can say the skills or interpreting, analyzing, and compiling formats you also gone through, and you had adapt some applications which will get immersed in your field of your computer science and engineering. So these are some PSOs which will affect on your career when you are going throughout. Yes. Then main part, that is our subject. Why we are going to learn this subject? What is actually the motto behind that? You have to gone through. Actually, in the Android application development, this subject had the cross, or you can say vital role. You can say the cross platform we can use for the C Sharp or .NET or Visual using Visual Studio. So this is the program scheme for you for your syllabus, or you can say for this semester. You are having lectures 2 hours per week, practical also 2 hours, but it is conducting only one time throughout week. Then examination scheme, you are having an ISC, ICA, and POE. ISC is for 25 marks. ICA is also for 25 marks. and POE for 50 marks, means total marks coverage is 100. Okay, fine. This means this subject is having external, that is practical oral examination. Fine. Now this we will see the syllabus. This is the syllabus. We are having section 1 including 4 chapters and section 2 including the 4 chapters. So in the section 1 we are having an introduction to the .NET framework. In now we are going to start. Then similarly the second chapter includes the C# application basics and language fundamentals. Again the third one is object oriented concepts and exception handling. Just wait a minute. Okay, fine. Sorry. Here we are going with the second chapter, that is C# application basic language. Here we are going to see how we are going to compile our program, how we are going to create some objects, or you can say the concepts of OOPS we are going to learn here, as well as the concepts having some methods, conventions, all these things we are going to do here. And also the comparison between the Java and C#, how they are different with each other. Okay. Now in the third chapter, we are going to see the object-oriented concepts and exception handling. Whenever there is an error occurs, we have to handle it. So by defining as the system, the software in itself has built up with many of these exception handling cases. So that concept we are also going to see with OOPS concept. Okay. So then the unit 4 will delegates events and multi-threading. The multi-threading concept we are going to see here, how the thread, whenever we are calling a process, it is called as a thread unit process. So that operations we are going to see, as also you had gone through with what we can see in Java, but simultaneously it is similarly we can say somewhat different. Means the methods are same, but the calling functions we can say is somewhat different, that we are going to learn here. Now in the second section, it is having the file system and streams and generics. That is a file system, how I'm going to insert a file, how I'm going to take the contents, or through the deserialization and serialization, how I'm going to do. Generic concept is new one in the delegates that we are going to learn. Then in the sixth chapter, we are going to see the GUI programming. GUI, that is nothing but the graphical, how I'm going to create a page, and on that page, how I'm going to insert some tools. That tools are nothing but list box, event box, or combo box, or radio buttons, how they are accessing, or how I'm going to create a form, window form. So that in the sixth chapter, we are going to see. In 7, that is data access using ADO.NET. This is the new concept, that is ASP.NET and ADO.NET are two different form. That is nothing but it is very much having similar methods call, but somewhat different, because we are considering in ADO.NET that is data sets, data table, data row, data column, while in the introduction to the ASP.NET and MVC, that is nothing but it is a framework part. Only the introductory part we are going to conclude over here in the last chapter. So this is the overall view of our syllabus. And similarly, if you want to go through some these syllabus, how I'm going to cover. So these are some textbooks and reference books you can refer online also these are available. And similarly, here the links are already given where you can go through it for the reference as well as for the textbook. Okay. Now, actually, why, what is actually the programming in CHASS.NET? Why he had included? What is the actual purpose in order to include that CHASS.NET? So the central idea I have given here, that is nothing but it is also an object-oriented programming language, and which includes the class, object, overloading, overriding, encapsulation, data hiding, these all parts. So this is nothing but we are core integrating, or you can say core ingredients of your .NET framework. And importance is nothing but we can provide this opportunity to in order to integrate or innovative with the help of this language. We can do our work with the same efforts and with more efficiency. Okay, so these parts we are going to clear here through .NET. That is also one of the form in, I think so, in the mobile application development. The one part section was your Java oriented, and the second was the cross-platform oriented. So in that, it is already given that how you can utilize your application can be converted over here in .NET form. Okay, that is the prerequisite for this. You can say prerequisite for this is nothing but you should be very much aware of C and C++ concept. So it will be very much clear. The ideas will get very much clear to you, and that will be fine. Yeah. Now, the next part we are going for, that is nothing but the subject outcomes will be these 5, where you can develop the software in C#. Again, software I'm asking, that is nothing but you can create an application also. Okay. Now apply the knowledge of your structure and model for the programming language C#. Then implement object-oriented programming paradigms in through C language. Again, .NET runtime libraries and APIs you can utilize. Also test and debugs the programs, or you can say the application in C# problem. Okay, these are the subject outcomes. Next part, we are direct starting with the introduction. So just 1 minute, I will go through this. So what will we are going to include here in the first chapter is the .NET architecture. Yes. Then what is CLR in that? What is the common language runtime? What is the Microsoft Intermediate Language Code, or we can say it as a MSIL. Then what are the compilers and what the compilers activities over here in the .NET framework. Then the network, the framework libraries, FCL we called it as FCL. Then the common language specification, common language type system, CTS, and introduction to the Visual Studio .NET. So these all parts we are going to cover in our first chapter. Okay. Now starting with what is .NET. So as basically all you know, the .NET is nothing but a general purpose, modern and objective oriented programming language pronounced as C#. Okay, it was developed by Microsoft led, and the developer name was actually the Anders Helsingborg and his team within the .NET. So initiative, we can say this is divide, or you can create it using having a knowledge. And this was very much easy for the user who are having the knowledge of C and C++ or Java. So this is nothing but the beat about the .NET framework is it is a multi-platform application, and framework can be used from basic, Visual Basic, COBOL, or etc. It is designed in manner so that everyone can use, and because it is user friendly, so you can say it is nothing but we have the conditions we can see. Yes. So similarly, when we are having these types of programming language, we consider here the software platform, language platform, or you can say language which will be neutral. And in other words, it is nothing but the runtime and library for writing and executing your program. Yes, writing and executing your program. This is the platform over here with a console application with a Windows form. Okay, so this is nothing but your .NET. So actually what that .NET framework will go for. So for developing the web-based and window-based application within the Microsoft environment, we had created the .NET. And the framework offer a fundamental outfits that is nothing but the Microsoft has gone through with moving this application. So that is nothing but from client-centric to server-centric. So this application, because most of the time it is very difficult to get connected with the server. So in order to make the connectivity very easy and very fast, we have gone through the .NET framework, or you can say Visual.NET. Yes. Now the next point here, we are having what this framework actually go through. Yes. So what actually it is nothing but the .NET framework is including the two parts. That is the .NET application, and I am going for the operating system plus hardware, which is very much compatible to my system, which is going to be very compatible to my system. So this is the part of your .NET, and this framework will have some most of the classes, numerous classes we are going to see here. These classes allows your development in order to do the client applications and web-based application on the web also through this network framework. Okay, so this framework is again divided into some architecture. So that architecture is nothing but, we can say, it looks like this form. It looks like in this form. That is nothing but it is you can say layers, but they are having different functions over each layer. Okay, so this layer is nothing but you can see VB, VCC, VC++, VC hash, JavaScript, then common language specification layer, ASP.NET Web Services and Web Form, then Windows Form, ADO.NET and Data and XML layer, which is form over there. Then this is base class libraries and common language runtime. And here you can say Visual Studio.NET, which is going to interpret, or you can say the overall combination of all this is included over here in Visual Studio.NET. Okay. So when we are having these some all of the application, because one time only we are going to run only particular one application. So that time you can say this is nothing but the application over here is related to your one format. Yes. So this is nothing but we can see here. Okay, fine. And you can go through this also, because this PPTs I am going to share with you, no problem. But the framework, language and tools, whatever we are having in our architecture is given here in this PPT. Yeah. Now, what is actually the CLR? We had gone through the CLR, common language runtime. What else this part includes of? Yeah. So CLR is nothing but it is the common execution part. Yes, and in our what we can say basic and virtual machine component for the .NET framework, it is a runtime environment, and in the .NET framework, it is a runtime environment in .NET framework that runs the code and helps users easier by providing the various services. Basically, it is responsible for managing the execution of your .NET. We can say .NET program, regardless of your .NET programming language. Because when CLR is implemented, the virtual and execution system, which is defined by the Microsoft, is get implemented, and this is turned into the condition, or it can be managed. Just wait a minute. Okay, here we are having the CLR, which is going to execute your secure your execution environment, and we will have some basic parts for this presentation. Here we are going to create the Windows form. Again, the ASP.NET Forms, that is web form, we are going to do for with this language runtime, as it is it is a runtime environment in the .NET. So through this we are going to create such for frameworks. Means window forms, you can see here the frameworks for building the rich client. We are going for the Windows form, or you can say a demonstration with like highlight some of these features such as delegates based event model. We are going through the Windows form. Now the ASP.NET, what is actually the ASP.NET is, now the web form, which is manageable code, which is non-spaghetti. We can say manageable code means we can do the corrections over here through the web forms. Again, if there is any error in the code, we can do the correction. Again, similarly, it is providing with you the answers also. That is nothing but whenever we are having fetching the content, it is showing us the enormous results which will get be answerable. So that types of for web forms we are going to do. Then logical evaluation of ASP, that is a compilation form, is also available with the CLR. Then again, we can have some libraries also over there. So that is nothing but we have mixed language specification. Here the development and deployments are totally with the CLR. That is nothing but development means we are developing something with the requirement. What is our actual requirement given us, that development we consider with common language specification, common type system, then standard class framework, and automatic memory management. So this is the consistent error handling and safer execution. Then potentially multi-platform or deployment you can provide through CLR. Then deployment, removal of registration dependency, safety is also given here through the development when we are having the conditions for our CLR. Yeah, next point, when we are having, so it supports with the two form, that is CTS and CLS. Already we had seen that is a common type system. There's a rich type system built into the CLR, which is going to implement various types. That is nothing but the integer data types, you can say integer, double, float, then long. These all conditions we will get implemented through this. And operations also we can going to perform, means addition, subtraction, whatever you want to do, you can go through it. Means inheritance, a polymorphism, you can go through it. Then CLS is the set of specification that the language and library designer need to follow. That is nothing but the interoperability between the languages. Means if we are performing with the two forms, the interoperability will be defined with the help of CLR. That is the common language runtime. So here it is one of the compilation I have given. So you can see the code in VB.NET, or we can say the Visual Basic.NET, code in C# and code in another .NET language. So everyone is going to have their own compiler. Everyone is having their own compiler. They are going to compile with their own compilers into intermediate language code. That is nothing but the machine language. That is nothing but the machine language, and that is nothing the CLR, that is just in time compilation execution we will receive. We do not have to wait for a long time with other compilation time, with other compilation errors. Okay, because everyone is using the same intermediate language code for your compilation, that is nothing but the already in SP we had seen, that is system programming, you have seen that the intermediate language code is responsible for your compilation, and what the compilation code is received and where it has been stored. So for that purpose, we can see that each and every language is having it their own compilers, but they are intermeeting into your basic machine language code, and which will give you the CLR, that is common language runtime, in just a minute, or you can just in a time that compilation or the execution will happen. So this is your compilation in .NET. This is nothing but your compilation in .NET. So when we are saying that intermediate language is nothing but the language are not compiled to machine code directly. They are compiled to the intermediate language, and which the CLR accepts the IL code and recompile it to the machine code. So that recompilation in just time, that is just in time, JIT, in short we called it as a JIT, meaning is it is done as soon as the function or subroutine is called. As soon as the function or subroutine is called, and the JIT code stays in the memory for substituent call. Means whenever we are writing something, or whenever we are providing something to the system, that time it is directly not accessing our result. Or if we are asking that give me the result of 5 plus 2, so directly it is showing us 7 within a fractions of second, so that 5 plus 2, how it will get decoded? So here the CLR accepts the IL code and recompiles it to makes the machine code. That recompilation, which is in the just in time, get done soon as the function or the subroutine is called. So that code stays in the memory. That code stays in the memory for the subsequent call. Whenever I am going to call for the addition program, it is already in the system. Just only the call, as I have given only dial that numbers and perform that operation. Just within the seconds, we will see the results. So in that case, where there is not enough memory, it is declared, thus making that interpretive. That is nothing but we discard that particular first answer, and again we are relocating the next one. When suppose there is something in location 200, so before that 200 location, I will remove the first whatever the data is, but not by directly giving the remove or erase the function, but replacing that conditions with other input. So this is nothing but your intermediate language code we have to do. Yeah. So that languages will provided by MS. You can see the VB, that is Visual Basic, C++, C hash, J hash also is there, F hash is also there, JavaScript is also there, and the third party which are building are nothing but the APL, COBOL, Pascal, FL, Haskell, again Perl, Python, SIM, Smalltalk. These all are the types of the language which the Microsoft has been generated, and through the .NET it is also accessing the same. Okay. Now I'm going to show you some .NET hierarchy view. So is it visible? Is it clearly visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So here I have shown you how our operating system, when I'm going to install the .NET framework in my system, so how will it occupies the space? How will it occupies the space? This is only the view, hierarchy view, you can say. When my operating system or hardware, it requires somewhat of 7 GB space. So it's having more libraries, because it is runtime libraries are more. Also, we have to manage some informations over there with the client and server actions. So similarly, when we are saying that when OS is going to be operated, it will first check the systems, what we can say, hardware compatibility. So this is nothing but the blue line, that is the runtime. These libraries will get already installed. We have to install all these libraries, and whenever this internet information in the CLR are again these services also we need to provide, because for the purpose of client server problem statements. For client server problem statements, we have to go with these services also. And some of the space is given for unmanaged application, means suppose we have not run, but we have just entered the inputs and we have not run that program. So they are kept in the unmanaged application in the form of that .NET file, that .NET form framework. But that libraries will also get utilized somehow, sometime, maybe after some time. So managed applications also included with this view. Yeah. So managed web application is also done through the CLR. And similarly, the simple applications which are not directly go through the application, web-based application, then only just a Windows form if we are creating. So this type of hierarchy view is for your .NET framework, for your .NET framework. So if I'm saying the summary for that, it is nothing but development, deployment, we can go for it. Robust and execution is fast here. Then it supports multiple programming languages. You can go with C also, C++ also through this. As now you can see, I have repeated for this .NET architecture again because we have completed with the overview, that is nothing but the operating system also be required, and similarly the CLR also required. So they are at the bottom. They are at the bottom because the libraries or runtime libraries need to be relocated over here. Now the base class library, ADO.NET and XML, these are other formats, or you can say the other frameworks in this .NET architecture. In this .NET architecture. Also, we are going to go with the ASP.NET and Windows Form. The main application is we are going to create the Windows Form application. We are going to create a Windows Form application in our further, in the process, or you can say in the further lectures, we are going to create the Windows Forms of application simultaneously. Yeah. After the installation, I will show you how we are going to console, what are these specific system actions are, what are the specific, what we can say libraries are, why these libraries we have to use over here. And similarly, when I'm going to use that libraries, what is actually the function of that library? Because when I'm saying that import, when you are going to, for a Java program, suppose I'm extending something, that is inheritance I'm calling. So I'm extending the main, the base class from the super class, or you can say the child class from the main parent class. So that time, that extended part is actually need to be present over here. So similarly, when I'm importing something from the system, that time it should include all this Windows Forms application system commands. So that all we are going to see. Okay. Then we are having a .NET Core components. So what actually these core components? The two main parts we had divided that core components. First is the ASP.NET frame, or you can say it is nothing but the framework FCL, that is the framework common language, and CLR is one of the execution engine you can manage by the applications, or you can say it is controlled by the common language runtime. These framework class libraries, or the above ADO.NET and XML, these are the framework class libraries, or you can say common language runtime applications on the framework, is an object oriented API that are managed by the applications, and also it is right into on .NET, on .NET framework, on .NET framework. Also, these are the two actually where it is divided within the two form, CLR and FCL. So FCL is a core part, and simple, the main, what we can say, a basic, the chapters are also included over here for this, for explaining the FCL. Just you need to know what is FCL in here in this chapter. That is nothing but it provides the object oriented APIs that will manage the application, which is going to be right on in the form of Windows Form, or in ADO.NET, or in ASP.NET. So only just keep in mind that we have to go through this. And when I say the compiling and executing managed code, how it will be go through. So whenever my source code is get into the compilation form, or you can say in a language compiler, it is gone through. So it will get converted to Microsoft Intermediate Language. That is the first time each method is going to reach over there. In .NET Framework, it is accessing, it's showing up, not another. I'm saying for .NET purpose. That is the .NET Framework will have to go through this. That is nothing but the source code. Your language compiler will be in that compilation form. Then it will proceed for the Microsoft Intermediate Language, that is the MSIL. Then through that we had seen the just-in-time compiler will get the execution, and that is nothing but we will receive the native data. Yes, we will receive the native data, or you can say the code, which is going to be execute, and we will specify with some output. We will specify with some output, isn't it? So this is nothing but we can say that is everything is fine with our side. That is nothing but we are having these compilation executing managed code over here with our .NET framework over through this type of compilation period, or you can say the compilation process totally is in this format. You have to keep in mind how the compiling and execution of a managed code will be gone through in your .NET framework. It is the basic question for the practical oral exam. How the compilation and executing method or managed code will go through. So your answer should be like source code, where whatever we are having, it get compiled through language compiler. Then through that, it is sent to the MSIL, that is nothing but the Microsoft Intermediate Language, which is going to be turn that code in just in time compiler, and we will receive the native code. Then we will receive the native code through it. So this is the compiling and executing code in our .NET. So next part we are seeing the actual formation, how the compilation will go with this native code, how we are going to manage and unmanage these components. So you can see with the diagram I have shown. If I suppose written the program in C++, then the compiler will compile that program. If there are an error, it will show me and ask me to get it correct. Then again, I will go with further. That is nothing but if there is an error, the compiler will make me unmanaged component. It will show me on the screen, that is directly on the operating system. Yes, on the OS or on the screen, we can see there are 2 errors or 3 errors or 5 errors. So that is happen. If it is not, means your program is correct and you are going for the compilation process. So you are going to assemble that code uniquely, then that code will get through JIT, that is nothing but your compiler language, or you can say common language runtime, that is JIT, just in time compiler, and it will deliberately give you the native code, or you can say the answer. Yeah, so that will be nothing but the output you will see. The output you will see. This is the function of your CLR actually. And FCL. What is FCL? That is nothing but the framework common libraries what we have. That complete libraries are with the ASP.NET and EDO.NET. And there we are going to create the Windows form. There we are going to create the Windows form, or you can say the Windows application. That is nothing but the web form or web service application we are going to create in FCL. Yes. Now the next point, we are having what that compatible language we are overusing. So current version, it is updated again. So we will have 2019 or 2017 of Visual Basic you can install in your system. It is not having much more space required. You can go through the installation. Otherwise, I will also share you the video how to get installed the Visual Studio. Okay, fine. And some of the language compiler list you can see here. The compiler list, just wait a minute. There is some work. Okay, there is some language compiler list also I have given here. So which compiler list we are getting? So for C hash, we are having our own compiler, C hash compiler. So directly we are going through that compilation form, and for other also it is provided. But if they are means if it is applicable, then you can go for it. Yes, for that your program. So what actually the closer look for your intermediate languages? What is actually the intermediate language is? So it is an object orientation and use of interface. You can say the strong distinction between the values and reference types, strong data typing, error handling through the use of exception, and types of means use of attributes are more. So that is nothing but the intermediate language is going through these all conditions. It is required for their purpose. So this is nothing but these features are for your intermediate language. Why it is having the main important in your .NET framework? Because it may handles or it is handling your errors using exceptions. Most of the exceptions are given here, and they are cleared with the intermediate language. So this is the part. Now the common language runtime, why it is existing again and again? Because this having the basic role, base part, main part for your framework, as it will handles OS, is above the OS and having handles the execution of your .NET application. So our program is also going through that, and our OS is also going to be deliberately through this process. So that common language runtime application we gone through. Now these libraries, you can see here how my framework for your .NET will be looks like. So these framework class libraries are having the utilities, features, and wrapper classes, wrapper around the OS functionality. These are the classes we are having in our FCL, and CLR is along, which is used for compiled time. It is used for compiled runtime. Okay, for .NET application, we required both these two. Yes, that is nothing but CLR and FCL. That is a framework class library we required, and in that library we were having some conditions. That is nothing but the framework. When we are saying framework is required here for our what we can say, when we are having these frameworks, we used to utilize with some wrapper class, because that framework may consist of many of the libraries. We have to get extracted through it, and after the extraction we have to perform that action on our particular program. So that library should get affected. So that is nothing but your FCL. So you can see here what I have mentioned. What is the utility feature? What is the utility feature? That is nothing but it includes various collection class. It includes various collection class. Here in this diagram, you can see the utility feature and wrapper around OS functionality and frameworks. These three parts are included in your FCL. These three parts are included in your FCL. So that FCL is nothing but including the three components. These are the three main components of your FCL. And the first one, utility feature, is nothing but it is a collection of various classes, such as you can say the list, stack, queue, dictionary, again array. That all utility features are over here, and these classes are also more varied manipulation. That is regression we can perform, or regular expressions if we want to give, we can go for it. Now the second component in the FCL was wrapper around OS functionality. Yes, by the name you can consider it is wrapping something, means it is covering something. So what it is covering? That is nothing but the OS functionality. Windows OS functionality it is covering. So that covering means nothing but it will include the class files using the file system, that is IO file system, that is input output file system, or the console application when we are going to run or when we are going to handle. That time you can see that these applications are how they are wrapped into the Windows, or you can say in the OS, because this is considered that wrapping can be done in any OS functionality, but Microsoft had created in such a format that it will get wrapped into your Windows application only, not on other OS functionality, not on other OS functionality. So when the framework, I'm saying that framework one, the third component in my FCL, the third component in my FCL. So there are various frameworks available in the FCL to develop certain application. To develop certain application, we have created frameworks. So for example, if I'm using ASP.NET is used to develop a web application, then Windows Presentation Foundation is used in order to render user interface in Windows application. Yes, if I'm going for a web page designing or web page application, so that time I'm using the Windows Presentation Foundation in order to get render or interface through my or the people who are going to see my project or my application, they are get visibly clearly on that window. Yes, so this is nothing but the framework activity. This is actually the FCL part, which is covering the utilities, again the wrapping and the frameworks. This is the FCL. You can consider here in this diagram, you can see here utility features, wrapper around functionality and framework are the three main component of your framework class library. Are the three main component of your framework class library, which are going to be covered with the help of CLR, so that these libraries will completely makes a .NET framework, which completely makes a .NET framework. Because if I need to get an application to be run or to be compiled or to be designed, that time I need these all functionalities to be worked in a one form, and that will nothing but I can access or I can get that framework compilation through these libraries, through this library. So common language runtime and FCL will both simultaneously work for it, and they will provide me with an application, with an console, or you can say a Windows application or Windows form. Okay, fine. So actually I'm showing you some Venn diagram. So how it will looks like when the C hash, CLS and VB will work for it. So this is the Venn diagram, and you can see using through this Venn diagram, that is nothing but how much part they are acquiring of each other, So in the CLR CTS, or that is common language runtime or common type system, in that it is whole included. These all languages are included in CLR and CTS. So what actually this CTS is defined. So what the CLR is also defining. So you can see whenever there is a something need to for a code writing in that language, you have to access another language. But in programming language, that target is different from the simple. So here I have given that Venn diagram that C hash and VB are the subset for CLR, but CLS is the minimal subset. You can see here it is having a very minimum portion. CLR is having maximum portion, but as compared to the CLS, it is very much less. Yeah. So and similarly, you can see the some of the features are common in C hash, VB, and other than CLS feature also. So this is the showing purpose is nothing but we define this minimum set of features that must be supported by all the languages, and that targets your common language runtime. This is the main part of your CLS and CTS. So CLR is common language runtime. We gone through. We had seen each and every condition. What is actually it is needed, why it is needed, and what the type CTS is. CTS is nothing but a common type system. Why we are focusing more there. So main thing is we have a common language specification given up by the VB, and as VB is not a case sensitive, so we can access any type of written code in any language in uppercase or in lowercase in here. So this is the CLS purpose, which defines more, and it will gives you it shows you the particular dividation. You can see the dividation of the part or what part it is actually including. So CLR CTS having the major part according to the CLS, as it is a subset of your CLR and CTS also in operating your code, Okay, so if further we move, we can see CTS. Now, just here we had gone through CTS is nothing but it is defined with this diagram. If you are writing any code in any particular language, here we have given C# and VB.NET, that is Visual Basic in that form. So the data type is for C# is int, I am supposing, and for VB.NET it is integer. And when I am compiling it, I am running that program, then the CLR data type will be int 32, so that it will consider it as in a bit. That is it is whether it is a 32-bit condition or whether it is a 64-bit condition. Yes, in which bit format it is present. So that condition we are considering in CTS. Means it is recognizing what type of data type, or you can say what in which bit or what type the system is calling that function. So here is the theory part I have given, what actually the CTS describes, that it describes the data type used by managed code. Then CTS defines how these types are declared and used and managed in runtime. Again, it facilitates that cross-language integration or type safety and high-performance code execution is going to be done. Then rule defines in CTS can be used to define your own class and values also. Again, CTS deals with your data. Okay, fine. Sorry. Just we had seen the CTS. What actually the CTS role is? It describes the going to be managed, used by managed code. The specification is given through all this through all this. So here we have several languages, and each and every languages has its own data type, and one language data type cannot be understandable by other language. Yes, but .NET framework, what it will do, it can understand all the other data types also. So for that purpose, if I am providing int also, int data type, and VB is having the integer data type, so it will declare that C has having the containing both the int and integer value. It will consider finally use the same structure as int for CTS, means from the CTS comment A or integer A. So int A also getting called and integer A is also going to be called, because though I have given the data types name differently, but my common type system will get it correctly and execute it correctly. So there is no any chances of getting false result or any other exception. So this is the main part of your CTS, that is common type system. Okay. So similarly, when says the CTS, so this is actually the Windows Studio, Visual Studio. When you are going to install, it will be looks like the same. whether it is clearly somewhat visible, or should I make it more clear? Okay, you can see the screen here. That is nothing but we have some add controls to a UI. After installation, you can select any of the theme, that is dark or light. So I have taken the dark as in what we can say, the actual theme. So it is showing me like this. So here you can run the code through the small green triangle is showing. Through that you can run your code. And similarly here the manage sources again. You can control your UI also. You can create through this. Then you can launch or live the share button. While we are doing the project, I will share the same content. Here you can send the feedback to the what we can say, to the Microsoft team if it's some error or issue you have fault. Again you can follow this part we can have here in the right side also or left side also. That is the where we are going to manage our folders, projects and everything. And also the collaboration or the runtime window we can execute here, over here in the screen. So this is all over the Visual Studio how it looks like. Okay, so these types of conditions we are going to have. And similarly, when these conditions are going to be applicable, then only we are going to be, because whenever I'm going to install that application or you can say the software for .NET Visual Studio, so you have to get it clear that all the packages, all the libraries should get fully uh, installed. Because if it remains not, so it will be failure. So this is the major problem that should not be happen. So you have to take care while installing that software. Okay, point we are having regarding the same for this is Visual Studio is an integrated development environment and developed by the Microsoft. Already I had discussed with you. With the help of this IDE, you can say the integrated development environment, I can create, manage code as well as the native code also, which is going to be performed on various platform of Microsoft development software like Windows Store, Microsoft Silverlight, then Windows API. So these all forms various platform I can go through. Again, it is not a language specific ID, as you can use this write code in C hash or C++ or Visual Basic. So in any of the language, IDE can do the execution, no any issue. It provides support for 36 different programming language. Already we had discussed earlier that these types of languages also gets understand by the .NET or C Sharp. And there are three main common when you are doing downloading the .NET or Visual Studio. You have to keep in mind you have to download the community, uh, what we can say, the community version. Three editions are there: community, professional and enterprises. The professional and enterprises are paid version, and you can go for the community version. Yes, you have to go through the community version, and you have to select for the .NET framework area. .NET framework area. While installing, I will show you each and every process, and it will be clear to you, because it will not take too much time, and you will be able to get understand over there. Yeah. So now what how this is the introductory part of your .NET. Yeah. And simultaneously we will have one focused statement. So how I'm going to write a program. Yeah. So this there I have given one small program how I'm going to write. So this is nothing but the abc.cs is the file defines a class program that contains a method called main. There will be a main method inside your call. All methods must be defined inside the class. All the main methods, whatever we are going to define in a class. Now creating and managing the class and objects. The main method is special all methods but defined inside the class. So C hash is a case sensitive language. You must spell main with capital M. You must spell with capital M. So how you can see here, the main should be like this: the public static void main in bracket string argument, and the curly braces opening and closing, and here you are going to write the console version. So if I want to write a program, write line, and in that, sorry, write line in that code what you want to place. Hello. Suppose this is one of my program. So this is nothing but how I'm going to write. Actually here it is just a syntax I'm going to show. So what is actually the console is? Console is the name of a build in this class. When I'm going to use the .NET, there you can see the console I am writing. So console, what it is nothing but the name of a build in the class which contain methods for displaying messages on the screen and getting the input from the keyboard Also I can write like this also. That is nothing but console dot read line. Why I'm using read line? Because it will stable my screen. It will make stable my screen in order to show me the actual string what we had given. Means this is nothing but as a user input, like the system input I have given. I have not given through the user input. So in order to get the system input to be stable on the screen, I am using the read line. So because it will get stable on the screen for some time, and I will read that part. So such types of some methods I am going to call, but with the help of console. Like that, if you are using the printf and scanf. So similarly, instead of that printf and scanf, we are using here console, which is nothing but the name of a build in the class, and which contains the method for displaying the messages on the screen and getting inputs from the keyboards also. So this is the actual small program we are going to do in our first practical. So next part you can write here. Just I have given how I'm going to write. So this is nothing but the main sorry, here public is removed from my side. Okay, no problem. So this is the actual condition. So for in order to displaying the message, I have given here console dot write line method. Console dot, just like a printf, I have used here console dot write line. In bracket I have given any string I have passed in a double quote. If you want to pass a string, you have to give into the double quote. Yes, in double quote you have to give that string. So this method is used for displaying the message on. If I want to get that input from the keyboard, that is, and should be wait for some time on the screen, I will write console dot read line. So that part will be completed. And it will get shown to me. So this is the condition, or you can say this is the method for getting the inputs from your keyboard. So we are writing the console dot read line. Okay. Sorry. Now, if some parts like I'm using the namespaces. So these namespaces are over there. When you are installing and we are performing the programming, that time you can go through this. What is the using system collection generic, system link, system text. What are these? These are nothing but the commands in your .NET framework. These are the commands in your framework. These are the namespace you can call. Using this namespace, we are following some conditions, some programs which are including these. So what is the US system? What is the actually there? So if I'm using namespace helps to solve the confusion of identifiers. Means two class with the same name, will be confused with each other. So if they live in a different namespace, suppose if I am using namespace ABS and there is a class that is XYZ. So in order to get defined differently, I'm using that namespace. Yes, I'm using that namespace. So these are some namespaces, and you can call it as a command also in your .NET framework. Now here I have given, so I have called these commands. I have used, these are the by default commands are present here in our .NET framework. I have given one namespace, that is ABS, that is your main method, or you can say package name. In that I have called a class, a main method, and here I have defined my program, what I want to get as an output, what I have to get as an output. So this is my overall program. Okay, now you can see here I have defined some keywords. So please go through it, because we are going to use these keywords because these keywords are mandatory, and that keywords will define each and every parameters, because abstract, as, base, boolean, break, byte, case, catch, char, how you have used this, how you are not using other keywords. So these are predefined keywords we are going to use in our upcoming practicals. So just go through it. I will share the PPT also. Please go through it. It is a kind request, because while doing practical, you have to be known that these are the keywords. We have not only just written, it is the keywords which are going to be preferred or reflected on in our program. Okay. Now, some integer data types also I am going to show you. What are the integer data types? There is some CTS, how the CTS take it is into consideration. Suppose in 32 I'm pursuing integer, so dot in 32, that it will sign that 32-bit sign integer has been taken, and it changes also. And if I am providing a short message, sign integer. If I am providing a byte, as a, it will consider it as a 8-bit unsigned integer. Uint means 32-bit unsigned integer, not signed, unsigned. And if I am using what we can say ulong, so it will consider as a 64-bit, but it is unsigned integer. Unsigned integer, signed and unsigned, you are already has been learned in computer organization and architecture. So please don't get confused. Signed and unsigned integers are nothing but the plus and minus format. Okay, this is the integer type we had. Now next part is the operator. Which operators when we are going to form, and it is associativity, weight case, and left to right figure. Left to right figure array through a what we can say, through a sorry, I'm not recalling that, square bracket, sorry, unary plus 1 plus, unary minus, only 1 minus, increment if I am going to give plus plus, decrement if I am about to give, that is minus minus, logical negation, one's complement if I want, pointer reference if I'm creating a pointer, then ampersand, that is giving to the address, size of, then size of an object if I want to call, and typecast if you want to typecast, that is from long to integer. So you can go through this pattern, that is you can mention in the function call the integer or long or whatever the typecast you want. So this is all are the operators we are going to use. Next, these are again some more operators we are using. Multiplication, division, modulus, plus, minus already done. Left shift, right shift, is less than, is than, equal to, greater than, equal to, is equal to, not equal to. So this is all the associative from left to right we are performing, not from right to left. Okay. Now some operators again more logical, you can say here, that is ampersand for and, or, XOR, logical and, logical or, ternary or operators also there, means equals to, star equals to. These are some special operators and comma operators, that is nothing but the semicolon. After each method call or function has been called, and if any function on any method you have been called and any loop you are calling, after that if you are writing something you have to give the semicolon, otherwise it will show you the error. So that statement missing will concept, so that statement missing concept we don't have to consider it, because we are going to provide each, and wherever there is required we are providing the commas operator. Okay, now the loops which we are going to see, that is if else statement loop, while loop, do while, for loop, switch case, default system, jump statement, then for each statement. These are some loops concepts. Furtherly, as soon as we are getting forwarded with our syllabus, that time you can see, consider that the each and every consideration of each type we are going to learn. So how the loops works, if condition fails, then else condition will get executed, and if the if condition get pass, else get break, or it will not execute. So these conditions, do while, for loop conditions we are providing, I equals to 0, I less than equals to, and I plus plus, or a minus minus, what condition you want to go through. So these types of loops we are having. Again, in the finished, for each loop, if you are considering, I have given here that for each loop you are going to provide some items in the collection that will be defined. Okay, and for each int x in array, I have given an incremented sign. Again, I need to get represented on my screen, so I have used console.writeLine. So this is for each loop. For each loop we are not going to consider. So similarly for array also, we like this we are going to define. Already you are well known of array, how array is going to be defined. Array is going to be defined, or array is already defined. So this is int a. If I am giving any size, sorry, there is some disturbance. Yes, where we are, through array, as initialize array is specified with the dimension, you can use the keyword with the new. And if array is having a reference type, you can go through like this. And if you are simply dealing with pqr and having same array type, it would not create a new array. So you can directly define it as a null reference, means you are not defining, and you can give this okay, sorry. Now you can find the elements in like this also, through taking the elements and providing the num keyword over there. So this is somewhat what we can say. I have given an overview how we are going to define, and simply the last one, that is the namespace. So namespace is nothing but we are providing our package name. So defining package name, you can call it as a namespace in the .NET. And similarly, when you are defining the class in C hash, you have to include the within the same namespace definition. Okay, within that same namespace, you can define the further namespace also. So simultaneously, I have given the two ways how you are going to define the namespace. Like if I have given one namespace ABC, then in that namespace PQR, or in that again I have provided the namespace def, and in that I have called the method class. I have called the class. So instead of doing all this, you can go with this also. But if you get it created this also abc.keyword.definition, and in that you can call a class, and in that you can call a class. So this is the actual how you are going to relate, or you are going to provide, or organizing your related class and other types. It is logically rather than physically grouping. So when you are defining the class in C hash, then you can include within the same namespace definition, or with the same name you can define with the dot form. So these two conditions you can go through it. Okay. So this is the all over about your .NET framework. This is the introductory part of your first chapter, which we are going to be considered. Again, more conditions and more contents are remained from my side in this slide. So after that, we will stop here. It is, I think so, half hour, 1.5 hours has been done. So we will stop here. If anybody is having any doubt, you can ask me, or we will take an attendance. If anybody is having any doubt, you can ask, or we will stop here, because in the further sections we are going for a practical, and doing the practical we are concluding our chapter wise conditions, because separate practicals we are not going to consider, because the first lecture was there. That's why I have considered the theory part, because until and unless the theory is not going to be clear, the practicals are not going to be covered, because we need to do the installation and many other processes, many of the features we need to know. So like this I have concluded, but some of the part remain, and we are going to conclude tomorrow. If anybody is having doubt, you can ask, or otherwise we will stop here. If anybody is having doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we will stop here. Reply me with yes, no. Is it? Is there the length? Strength is very less. I know. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Those are present. Karade Kajal, Vaishnavi, Pratiksha. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will stop. So reply with that same answer. I am expecting that you are going to be preparing for your interviews also. So you are mostly capable in order to reply. Okay, thank you. Okay, fine. We will stop here. And please, I will stop my sharing. Okay, fine. Yes, one by one, please give me the attendance so that we'll cover it soon. Just wait, I will call roll call and you will go for it. Wait a minute. Stop the recording. A division 1, 2, 3. You can write in the chat box. You can write in the chat box. 1, roll number 1, A division. 2, 3, 4.
Ma'am, roll number 2 present.
I asked to write in the chat box. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, okay, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 50, 51, 52, 53, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Yes, A division last is 70, isn't it? 70 last आहे का? 80 आहे. जेवण झाले, जास्त झोप लागली. ठीक आहे, बी डिव्हिजन 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 मध्ये प्रेझेंट जे आहेत ना त्यांनीच टाका. Okay, you can leave. Shall I repeat the absent numbers? The present number for B division is 16, 7, 13, 11 and 55. Present numbers are these. Okay. Absent number for A and B are quite good. Very nice. Okay, you can leave the session. Thank you.